In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make electro pop music, kind of like Lauv, Charlie Puth, the Chainsmokers, Shawn Mendes, that kind of vibe. And to do that, I remade Tom Grennan's song, How Does It Feel, in FL Studio, and I'll break down the song's elements, the sounds of those elements, the mixing, the structure and arrangement, all that jazz. And hopefully by the end of this tutorial, you can make a song in a similar electro synth pop style to this one. Set the tempo around 150 to 160 BPM. Start off by making some very synthy chords. These are very simple chords, and if you need help with creating any simple chords like this, my best advice is to go to the legacy version of chordchord.com. You just pick your key, generate the chords, and you can play them along with showing the notes, and it's really easy just to format some chords like this. Not a sponsor, I just really love using that website. And I went for kind of like a synth and guitar-ish type sound. I used two flex guitar presets. I used this one and I used this one as well, and then I used two synth presets from MHA's Vital Sound Banks, this one over here as well. So these two are more like standard synth type sounds, and then these two are just standard guitar VST sounds, just to give some extra texture to the overall synth sound. And for mixing, I put an OTT on there with these settings just to kind of amplify the sound a little bit. A Fruity Blood overdrive as well, just to give some extra amplification and a little bit of distortion as well. As you see, I turned up the knob about a quarter of the way. An EQ kind of just to tone down some of the frequencies that were amplified by the Fruity Blood overdrive, and cutting out a lot of the lows as well, just because we want the lows to be present in the basses that we create later rather than the muddiness of the chords, and a little bit of a sidechain on there as well. I also have the same chords but in a Rhodes VST, and I just used this electric 80s preset from Flex Pianos. Next, make a groovy bass line out of those chords. To get the bass notes, all you really have to do is find the root notes. So like this is an F sharp chord, and then this is a G sharp chord. So basically these are just the root notes, and then you could take these and then chop them up into a rhythm like this. As you see, this is kind of like the bass note right here, and then I just kind of chopped it up into a rhythm. Another trick you could do to give some variation and bounciness with the bass lines is taking the notes and just moving it up one octave like that. As you see, I did that here, 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 and here. Makes it a lot more bouncier and rhythmic. I use this flex bass guitar preset, this one as well, and then a bass preset from MHA's Vital Sound Bank Volume 1. So the first two are more on the acoustic bass guitar side, and then the last one's more on the analog side. And then for mixing, all I did is I put a Fruity Blood overdrive on there, nothing done to it, just a preset thrown in there just for some amplification and a tiny bit of a distortion. And then an EQ just to take out a little bit of the highs because it was a little too high, just really focusing on every other frequency other than the highest frequencies. Next, find a guitar sample that could flow with the other elements. Some good places to get guitar samples like this are Splice, which is paid for, and Looperman, which is completely free. And for mixing, all I did is I put this EQ on here kind of just to get rid of the lows and then get rid of a little bit of the highs that were a little too high, and then put a little bit of a sidechain on there as well. Now for the drums, I have this kick, very short and hard hitting. I have this snare, kind of like a standard 80s vaporwave, synthwave type snare. I have this hi-hat loop that I created, just a hat playing on every other step. I have this little percussion background loop, and then this hi-hat loop as well, just as a little addition. And then all together, the drums sound like this. And the only mixing that I did on all of the drums is a Fruity Blood overdrive with the color turned all the way up and the main knob turned like a quarter of the way. The color is just for some extra texture. The main knob is for some amplification, not really distortion. Now for some effects. The only main effects that I have are some atmospheric drones, just to build up some ambience in the background of the track and fill up the mix. And then throughout the track, I just have some transitional elements like this sweep, this reverse crash, this downlifter, and then this smaller downlifter. Now for the structure and arrangement. So as kind of just like a visual, this is for any verses of the track. This is kind of like a bridge. and then this is like the chorus. For any verses, you just have the guitar, the bass, a little quieter version of the atmospheric drones, along with just the kick and the snare, and it would sound something along the lines of this. A very stripped down, simplified version of all the elements. And then leading up to the bridge over here, I have the guitar, the same drones but just louder. And then I also included a Reese bass just for some extra kind of like hype building for the bridge. Is a good lead up to the chorus. And then I also have some transitional elements down here, and then a little break in the instrumentation. And then to the chorus, I started off with just the full drum loop and the bass. That's just how the song is structured. It sounds pretty good when you do that. The second part of the chorus, you have everything all together. You have the chords, the Rhodes, the guitar, the bass, the two drones, the full drum loop, and then leading up from the first part of the chorus to the second part of the chorus, you have the effects to transition into that. After all that, here's the final result.
Let me give